Welcome to the engineering technology class for December the 3rd. I have looked over the assignments that were received as of last night. If you turned in your assignment anytime this morning, I have not yet had a chance to look at it. But I do have some feedback that I want to give you based on what I saw as of what you turned in last night. Some of you seem to get it really well. Others of you, not so much. Let's see, we got another cert person just showed up here. Let me quickly mark him in. Okay, mark him as being tardy. Okay, so let me share with you some of the drawings. Now, if you're worried that I might embarrass you by showing your drawing and talking about the problems in your drawing, let me tell you that I'm not going to say whose drawing it was. And I'll try not to be too critical when I point out the things that could be better about the drawings. So I'm hoping that I'm not going to embarrass anybody here. But there are some areas where they could be better, and I think it's useful for everybody to see uh, these examples. Okay, so what you're seeing right now is an example done by an unnamed student. And if you recognize this as yours, don't bother saying anything. I want to keep it secret. So this is very close to what I was looking for. Not quite there, but really close. Okay, so let me turn on annotation here so I can point some things out here. All right, so let's start in the upper left here. So this, okay, so they are claiming that that's a 1-point perspective drawing, and I completely agree. That is an excellent way to do 1-point perspective. Whereas down here, they're claiming that that's a 2-point perspective drawing, and I agree, that is 2-point perspective. Now, in both of those drawings, both this one and the one below it, there is something about the drawings that I wished you had done differently. But you have successfully demonstrated to me that you do understand what is 1-point perspective and what is 2-point perspective. Okay, this one over here, the same thing. This drawing does correctly show the oblique drawing technique. And so kudos for that. But again, there was something about it that I wish you would have done differently, but we'll talk about that in just a second. Okay, so oblique, by the way, is also sometimes called 1-point isometric. So you need to know that. Okay, and then this drawing over here, so they've called it isometric. And there are a lot of textbooks that when they say isometric, they mean this, which is what oh, wait a minute. Okay. Let me take that back. Okay, so this drawing right here that claims to be isometric, I mean, this is isometric, but it's not 2-point isometric. The isometric drawing that you see here and the oblique drawing, those are both the same drawing technique. Both of those are what I call 1-point isometric, but what other people call oblique. Okay, both of these are that same 1-point isometric technique. So in this case, this person has not done the 2-point isometric. Both of those drawings are just 1-point isometric. Okay, now let's talk about the one thing that I wish he would have done differently. Oh, I just gave it away. Okay, well, so now you know the person's gender, but I won't say anything more than that. Okay, so let's look at the 1-point perspective drawing here. Okay, the shelves. If you look at right here, you don't see, if this was a real bookcase, you would see where that shelf, the horizontal shelf, attaches to the vertical part of the support, and you would also see the vertical part there, and you would also see a horizontal part right there. You see how he's missing those things? So those things that I just drew right in there, those are missing. And then the same thing is applying here. Okay, there should be a line going like that, line going like that, line going like that. Now in this case, because of the angle that he chose to draw here, I can't see the back part of the shelf, so I can't draw that. But right here, this part of the shelf here, I definitely would see those if this was a real shelf. And so leaving those out is a problem. Now over here on the oblique view, you see the same thing is going to apply. That part of the shelf there, okay, I would see that and that should be drawn. And right here, same thing. Okay, that part of the shelf there, that's missing. Okay, so two problems with this particular homework. One is the fact that they didn't give me a 2-point isometric drawing. They gave me two 1-point isometric drawings, and they called it oblique here and they called it isometric there. But okay, so hopefully you recognize that doesn't cut it. Okay, and then the other thing is the not having the shelf connections where the horizontal shelf connects to the vertical support piece. Okay, so the two problems with this. So I gave this person most of the credit because they did demonstrate that they knew a lot of what was needed, but I couldn't give them a perfect score because of those problems that we mentioned. Okay, let's look at somebody else's. All right, so what we have here is, so they've labeled, let's start in the upper left here. Okay, so let's look at this one up here. So they claim that this is 1-point perspective. Now, if it's 1-point perspective, that means this line and the line up at the top here should be parallel. And so good, that is correct. Okay, and then this line right here should be going off to somewhere in the infinity mark. Okay, so that's good. I do see a few problems here. This line here is going off at a funny angle. This one is at a slightly less funny angle, but still a funny angle. This one is also at a still slightly less, but still funny angle. That is a problem. That should not be the case. And so if you're the person who made this drawing, please don't feel that I'm ragging on you. I'm just pointing out things that I would like you to do better next time. Okay, so how should this person have done these lines? All of the vertical lines should have been perfectly vertical, except I don't know why those vertical lines are even there anyway. I mean, let's take a look at this picture here. I see a vertical line here and I see a vertical line there. And so I see that there's a vertical piece on the left side, there's a vertical piece on the right side, and there's no vertical pieces in the middle. So I look at this and I say, well, what's the deal here? Where did these vertical pieces in the middle come from? I don't understand that. But if there were some vertical supports here, then they should also be vertical here. Okay, so definitely some room for improvement there. So let's go back to this one here. So this is the one that they are claiming is a 2-point perspective drawing. And I completely agree. This drawing here, the 2-point perspective drawing that this person has done, I think they've done a super job. Let's make it a little bit bigger here. Okay. That drawing that you see right there, that is perfect. That contains everything that I want. Now right in here, maybe a little bit of room for improvement there, perhaps. I can see that they drew that, that line that I was telling you that I wish the other person had. Okay, I can see that they tried to put that line in there. I'm not sure that I'm not quite sure what's happening right here. I would have expected that the line would have come to right there like that. That's what I would have expected. And it looks like they've done it okay here, and they kind of sort of did it down here. Okay, so maybe I'll take back what I said about this drawing being perfect, but it's really close to being perfect. I mean, other than the funny business going on right here, I think it looks really good. Okay, so this 2-point perspective drawing here that they did here looks really great. Okay, except now the vanishing point. Now, if this was really 2-point perspective, okay, this line and this line would not be parallel to each other. If you look down in the isometric case here, you can see this line and this line are in fact parallel. Up above, I look at that and I say, well, are those lines really parallel or are they not? So I'm not sure. They should not be parallel. But if your vanishing point is really, really far away, well, then okay, I could get away with that. Okay, so let's look down here at this drawing that they've labeled as being the isometric drawing. Okay, so I'm assuming that this line and this line here are parallel to each other. So I'm going to say, okay, good with that. Do you see a problem over here in the corners? Okay, so those lines that I said that the first person needed to have, okay, those lines are missing. Now, they put the lines in up here, but for some reason they left the lines out down there. Okay, so that's not too good. And now also there's this this edge of the bookshelf. Okay, now I shouldn't draw it as a continuous line there. I should only draw that line in the places where we can actually see it. Okay, so maybe that might be a better way to put it. Okay, so you see what I've done there? Okay, now another thing, look at this line right here. Is this line right here parallel with that line right there? Not really. And this one down here, definitely not parallel. Okay, so we've got a couple problems with this one. If this was a correctly done isometric line drawing, this line, this line, this line, and this line, and this line, all four of those lines should have been parallel to each other. Okay. Oh, and they're clearly not. Okay, so we got a couple issues there that need to be addressed. Okay, so now let's look at this drawing that this person has right here. Now we've got these vertical lines that came back in again. So I don't understand these vertical lines. When I look at the bookshelf here, let me why is it doing that? Okay, I don't see any intermediate lines in this one. So why am I seeing intermediate lines on this one here? I'm quite confused by that. I don't know what this is. Okay, so definitely we got some issues. We need to decide, do we have any spacers in between or do we not? Let's make up our mind and let's stick with one here. Okay, now let's see what else have we got here. Okay, so this one in the lower left now, let's talk about that one. Okay, so this is the one that they're claiming is the oblique view, which is the 1-point isometric. Okay, so if it's an oblique view, then this line, and this line should all be horizontal. And I look at them and I think, yeah, they look pretty close to horizontal. So I'm okay with that. Now, also, if this was an oblique line or oblique drawing, then this line, this line, this line, and this line, they should all be parallel to each other. And they're not. They're going off in different angles. Okay, so that's a problem. That needs to be fixed. Again, we have the same problem where I don't, the shelf line there, I expect I should see the line. I see it here, but for some reason, they chose not to do it there. Okay, so now they did put some shading in here. I thought that was nice. I like the way they did the shading. So I can see that they were trying to illustrate what I was hoping to see. But, and so good for that. But I want to see an actual line. Okay, right there like that. Okay, and then this thing here, I'm not quite sure what that is. So I'm not sure why that's there. And let's see, I think that's it. Okay. All right, so so nice try. A little bit of room for improvement though, but that's okay. All right, let's look at this next one. Okay, so here is one. And so let me zoom in. Okay, so let's start right here. Okay, so this is the one that they are claiming is 2-point perspective. And I look at this and I'm thinking, hey, that looks really good. Okay, this line and this line here, they both go off to the same vanishing point. So yep, that's good. All of these lines here, They all go off to the same vanishing point. So yep, that's good. The lines here that I was talking about before, yep, I see all those lines. Okay, that's very good. Now this drawing is especially interesting because you'll notice when they drew their first corner right here, the corner that's the closest to us, they drew it in a way so that the upper part of it is higher than the horizon line, the lower part of it is lower than the horizon line. And because they chose to do that, when I look at this shelf, and this shelf, I'm looking at the upper part of the shelf. However, when I look at this shelf and this shelf, I'm looking at the lower part of the shelf, which I think is a very, very interesting way to do it. And I like it very much. Okay, so as the 2-point perspective drawing here, I give that one an A+. That is a really well done 2-point perspective drawing. That doesn't mean that all the other ones on here get an A+. So let's look at this one here. Okay, so this one is the 2-point perspective drawing. I'm sorry, this is the 2-point isometric drawing. Okay, so what have we got? Well, this line, this line, this line, these are the lines that should all be parallel to each other. And they look reasonably parallel. They're not perfect. I mean, this line here, I do not think that line is parallel to this one. So yeah, I might ding a little bit, but I mean, it's close to being parallel. And, you know, I'm willing to cut a little bit of slack here, but I would want them to be exactly parallel. Okay, now, how about the vertical lines? You notice over on the left side here, all of these vertical lines are all perfectly vertical. They're all parallel to each other. Well, that's not the case here. I mean, something funny is happening over here compared to here. And so I'm going to have to ding a little bit for this one. This guy on the left side, he should be perfectly vertical. Okay. All of your vertical lines in all of your drawings, it doesn't matter whether they're isometric or whether they're perspective, the vertical lines should all be vertical. They should all be parallel to each other. Okay. Now, remember those lines that I was talking about before, where the shelf meets the edge? Okay, I want to see those. Now, they did it over here. They did a beautiful job over here. But when they did this one, they forgot to include those. So I'm going to have to ding them a little bit for that. Okay, but I mean, not a lot. I'm not going to give them a terrible grade, but I do have to ding them for that. Okay, so let's come down here. So now this drawing is the one that they claimed was the 1-point perspective drawing. So let's see if we agree. Okay, so in the 1-point perspective, we don't have either the left corner or the right corner closer to us. The left corner and the right corner are both equidistant away from us. And so all of these lines here should all be perfectly horizontal. And they do, in fact, look pretty horizontal. So I'm thinking good. I like that. Okay. And then these lines here, okay, they all go off to the same vanishing point. And so I'm thinking good. I like that. And this one right here, you can't see it very well, but it does in fact go off to the same vanishing point. Okay, so this one, I'm thinking I like this a lot. This is looking pretty good. The lines right here that I was talking about before, yep, there they are. Okay, so I'm thinking that for the perspective drawing here, I think I would give this one an A+. Okay, so the person who did this drawing, they are really good at doing perspective drawings. I really like their perspectives. The oblique drawings and oops, hang on just a sec. Let me, okay, bring this over here. Okay, so the isometric drawings, they're not quite as good at doing isometric drawings as they are doing perspective drawings. Now, so this one here is supposed to be the 1-point isometric. So that if that's the case, that means this line, this line, this line, this line, this line should all be perfectly horizontal. And I'm thinking, yeah, they look pretty horizontal. So I'm going to say good on that. This line, and this line should all be parallel to each other. And I look at it and say, okay, yeah, they look pretty parallel. Okay, good on that. This line, this line, this line all need to be perfectly vertical. For some reason, they're tilted a little bit, but hey, it's not terrible. So, okay, I'll cut them some slack there. But guess what I'm going to say right here? You know what I'm going to say right there, right? We're missing something right there. What we should have is we should have a line going off there, line going off there, line going off there, line going off there. And also, if you were to look inside, you would see that part of the back part. And you would also see the back of the shelf. Okay, that should be in there as well. Okay, so I'm going to ding them a little bit for this, but not too much. Okay, so whoever did this drawing, I won't name them. Okay, but this person is very, very good at doing perspective drawings, but they looks like they need a little more practice at doing isometric drawings. Okay, and that's okay. I mean, I don't expect you guys to be perfect the first time out the gate. Not a problem. Okay, here's another one. Again, I'm sure you guys are going to guess what I could say about these. Now, in this case, they did not label the drawings, which I mean, I can look at it and I can see, okay, so this one here is, whoops, sorry. Okay, I have to turn on annotation before I touch my screen, otherwise. Okay, so this one here is obviously the 2-point perspective drawing. And so I see that and that going off to a vanishing point. These guys are all going to vanishing points. Okay, looks pretty good, except I don't see those lines in here that I told you about. And also I should see that back corner as well too. Okay, so yeah, a little bit of room for improvement there. Let's see, let me zoom in on a little bit on these. Okay, so this one here looks like it's probably the 1-point perspective drawing. And so let's see what I think about that. Okay, so if it was a 1-point perspective, this line and this line should be perfectly horizontal. Yeah, they look pretty good being perfectly horizontal. This line and this line and this line should be perfectly vertical, and they're not. They're tilted off a little bit. So when you guys go back to redo these, try to fix those. Try to make them be perfectly vertical. Okay, and then you guys know what I'm going to say in here, right? Okay, what we should have is we should have where the shelf meets the vertical part, we should have something there, and then we should see that corner, and then we should see this part of the shelf as well. Now, in this case, this is the upper one. So in this case, well, actually, sorry, that should be vertical. That should be horizontal. Let me fix that. Okay, so we should have a line there like that. And actually, this guy, we should be seeing the bottom part of him as well. Okay, so there, does that look a little bit better? Even you can see even I'm having a little trouble here. Okay, all right, so not terrible, not bad. Let's look at these. Okay, so I'm thinking this one here is the 2-point isometric drawing. And so I'm sure you guys can guess what I'm going to say about this. So this line, this line, this line, this line, and this line all should be parallel. And yes, they look very parallel. I'm thinking good for that. This line, and this line should all be parallel. And yeah, they look parallel to me. Okay, good. I like that. And then this line, and this line should all be vertical. And they're all close enough to vertical that I'll give them a pass on this. And I think they probably could be a little bit better, but hey, it's close enough. And you guys know what I'm going to say here. You know, we should be seeing these right here. And maybe we should even be seeing a little bit of that. And depending on the view, sometimes we will see the back of the shelf, but other times we might not. I mean, depending on the angle that he wants to portray here, okay, if that goes all the way in there, we might not see the back part of the shelf, but we should certainly see these guys right there. Okay, so a little bit of room for improvement there, but I mean those are minor. Okay, this one here, okay, looks to me like this is I can't bring it over anymore. Yeah, that's the most I can get it there. Okay, so this one looks like this is our 1-point isometric. Okay, so that means that this line, and the line down here, which somehow got cut off, those should all be perfectly horizontal, and they look like they probably are. Okay, so good. This one, and this one should all be perfectly vertical. And I'm starting to, okay, I was willing to cut you some slack over on this side, but this one, that guy, he's getting pretty far off from vertical. He should have been more vertical. So I might have to ding you a little bit for that. Okay, and we definitely should have some lines here like this. And the way that he's got this drawn, it looks like we should also have the back part of the shelf. We should see that in there as well. Okay, so a little bit of room for improvement here too, but hey, not bad, not bad. Okay, let's move on. Okay, this one here, I think you guys know what I'm going to say about this one. Okay, so I've said enough. So you can tell that. Let's see. Let me get some drawing here. Okay. So we should have some corners in here. This I don't fully understand what's going on with that. If there is a vertical segment, I mean that's okay. I mean some bookcases do have the vertical segment, but if that's the case, then my question is, why do we see the vertical segment in this drawing, but I don't see any vertical segment down here? What happened to our vertical segment? We need to make up our mind. We either have a vertical segment or we don't. Okay. The bookcase that you drew needs to be the same bookcase. And what I see right here is this bookcase and this bookcase, they are not the same bookcase. We need to be consistent there. Other than that, some things that I've already said before, so I'm not going to repeat them yet again. Okay, this one down here, let me just say that I really need you guys to put a little bit more time and a little bit more effort into your drawings, please. This one here looks like you threw it together in about 10 seconds. I really need you to take more effort and put more time into your drawings, please. So this one here, I had to ding you a lot. Okay. All right, so that's just a sample. What I want everybody to do is I want you to go back and redo the drawings and resubmit them. And just the same Canvas assignment as before. In fact, before I forget here, let me go in here and do this. So I'm going to go into Canvas here and I'm going to change Canvas to allow you to resubmit your drawings. And now it'll call them late. So don't be surprised when it says that your drawings are late. That's okay. Let me just do this real quick because I'll forget if I don't. Oh, it looks like I already had it set that way. Okay, so Canvas will now allow you to go back and redo your drawings. So I want everybody, unless if you submitted your drawing this morning, so that I have not yet had a chance to look at your drawing. If you're confident that your drawing contains all of the things that I just pointed out your drawing should contain, well, then just leave it as is. But if you go back and look at your drawing and say, yeah, I better do this again, then please go back and do it again. All right, now we are not done for the day. We still have more that I need to talk to you about, but I want to pause here for a second. Are there any questions about the things that I just mentioned? Okay, not hearing any, not seeing any. Okay. All right, so now there is another engineering drawing technique that you need to know. This other drawing technique is called orthographic. So this drawing technique that you see in the lower left here, okay, that is a technique called orthographic. Now, orthographic drawings sometimes are a little bit hard to interpret. And so it's very common that when an engineer does an orthographic drawing, they also include an isometric drawing to go with it. Because isometric drawings, when you look at it, it's pretty clear what's going on here. Okay, if all I saw was this drawing right here, it's not so obvious what's going on. But when I look at this, I can say, okay, so I've got a piece here. I don't know if it's wood or metal, but I've got a piece of something here, and I can see that it's got two large holes right there, and I can see that it's got two smaller holes right here, and I can see that it's rounded on this end and flat on this end. So yeah, I look at the isometric drawing and I can get a good feel. I have an understanding of what it is. So now when I go and I look at the orthographic drawing, and by the way, let's label this. So ortho, not ortho, ortho. Let's try that again. Orthographic. Okay. All right. So the orthographic view, uh, now I can see, yes, okay. So apparently what's happening is that the person who drew this picture, they positioned themselves so they are sitting, they're looking down from above. And so the orthographic drawing only shows one face of the object. It doesn't show any sides. It just shows the one face. Okay, so this, we could call this the front face of the object. Okay. And so all we want to see is just that front face. We don't want to see anything else, just the front face. And now on this orthographic drawing, that's a nice place where we can put in dimensions. Because remember, the whole reason we're doing these drawings is because we want to be able to hand them off to a machinist and have the machinist look at the drawing and say, okay, yeah, I can make that. And so then they go and they get a piece of metal and they cut the metal and they drill the holes. And so they need to know where to drill the holes. And so by looking at this drawing, they can get that information. They know that this little hole that you see right there, that's this guy here. Okay. They can see that the center of that hole is 0.337 inches from that lower edge. Okay. And then they know that the bigger hole right here, okay, the center of that bigger hole is 0.962 inches from that lower edge. And then so forth and so on for all the rest of them. Okay. Also, this right here, where they do that symbol like this, that's a way of, that's an engineer's way of telling you what the diameter is. Okay, so that symbol means diameter. So this hole we have right here has a diameter of 0.75 inches. Whereas these other holes here, they have a diameter of 0.225 inches, and there's two of them. There's this one here, and there's that one down there. Okay, and the R.5 here, what that means is that's a radius. So this is a half of a circle. Okay, we'll try that. Okay, so that arc there is half of a circle, and the radius of the circle is 0.5 inches. Okay. Okay, so this drawing here is an orthographic front view. Now, what about this over here? Well, that is an orthographic side view. And I think this one is a good example of what I said before about if all I saw was the orthographic view, it wouldn't be obvious. I mean, if I just looked at this, it would not at all be obvious what's going on here. It's just a box with a bunch of lines on it, okay? But if I put this together with this, then I say, oh, okay, now I understand what's going on here. Now, these dotted lines that you see here, you're probably wondering what's the deal with those? Well, the dotted lines are what I like to refer to as the Superman view of what's going on. So you guys, you should know about Superman. Even if you haven't seen the movie or the TV shows, you should know that Superman has X-ray vision. Okay, so if Superman so take a look at this. So imagine that Superman is standing over here at this along the side of this, and Superman is looking at this from the side. okay? These holes here, if all Superman saw was just this side and nothing more than this side, Superman would not, well, let's talk about a non-Superman. So if you or I were standing over here, and so if we are looking at this thing, and if we are oriented so that all we can see is this side, we can't see the top part, we can't see this side, all we can see is just that one side. Our eye is down even with that. We would never know that there are holes drilled in here, okay? But Superman, he has X-ray vision. And so Superman looking through there, he would recognize that there's something happening right here, something here, something here, something here. And that's what these are. So this line right here corresponds to this mark right there. This line right here corresponds to the other edge of it. Now you're probably saying, well, if that's the case, what does this thing correspond to? Well, you notice how, let me change to a pen that's not so thick. Notice how this line here pokes out from the edge, whereas the other lines don't poke out from the edge. This line right here does not poke out. This line right here does poke out, okay? So the fact that it pokes out, that's an engineer's way of telling you that's where the center of the hole is. And this right here, so this mark, this mark, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Those are all the edges of the holes that you or I would not be able to see. If you or I were standing over here like this, looking at it, you or I would not be able to see those lines, but Superman could. And so it's common practice when you're doing orthographic drawings, whenever you have some feature in here like a hole, put it in there, but make sure you put it in with a dotted line, not a solid line. A dotted line means that's something interior that only Superman would be able to see. A normal human being would not be able to see that. Any line that is a line that only a normal human being would be able to see should be a solid line. Okay, in tonight's homework, I'm going to want you to do some orthographic views of various objects. Okay, so let's go back. Let's look at this. Okay, what you see right here is some object, which you can see it's got a little notch in the front and it's got a kind of a step towards the back there. All right, and notice how all of the lines that you see right. Okay, so this line, this line, this line, this line, these lines, those lines are all perfectly parallel to each other. So this is an isometric drawing. This is not a perspective drawing. And same thing with these other guys. This guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. Those are all perfectly parallel to each other. So it looks like a perspective drawing, but it's an isometric drawing. So what we have here is a 2-point isometric drawing of some piece of wood or metal that's got a notch and it's got a step on it. Okay, so if I were to ask you to draw an orthographic view of this piece of whatever, and so let's call this the left side, okay? So I want an orthographic view of the left side of this thing. So how could I do it? Well, imagine that you're standing over here, you're looking at it from the left side, and imagine that you are not Superman. Imagine that you are a real person, okay? What would it look like? Well, it would look something like this. You guys agree? If you were standing over here looking at it, that is all you would see. You can't see the top, you can't see the front, you can't see the side, you can't see the bottom. All you can see is the left side. Okay, now there is a notch here. You cannot see that notch, but Superman could. Okay, and so if Superman could see, Superman would see this line right here, And so Superman would recognize that there's something happening right there. Okay. And so this line right here and that line right there, those are the same lines. Okay. So what I've just drawn here, this is the orthographic left view. Okay. All right. Now, what if I asked you to do the orthographic front view? Okay, so let's assume that this here is the front side. So you're standing right here and you're looking at it, and all you can see are these surfaces that I've labeled F. Those are the only surface. And by the way, you'll also be able to see this one too. Okay, so what would the orthographic front view looks like? Well, I propose that this is what it would look like. You would see that. Okay, so this line is that. This line down here is that. Now, what about the notch? Well, okay, so I'm proposing you would see something like that. And what about this guy? Well, he would look like that. Okay, let me clean this up a bit. I don't like that. Let me do it just a little bit more cleanly here. Okay, so the orthographic front view would look like that. Okay, and let me go ahead and label that. So that's orthographic front. Okay, so let's make sure that we haven't made any mistakes here. So this side here corresponds to that edge. This side right here corresponds to that edge. Now this part and that part overlap each other. So when you're looking at it from the front, you don't recognize that there's actually a front there and a back there. Those are the same. Same with thing on the left side here. This edge corresponds to that guy. This edge corresponds to that guy. Okay. And so, yeah, I think we're good. I think we've got it there. So can you see how if the only drawing that I gave you was the orthographic front view. So let's say this right here is the only thing. If I didn't have this and all I gave you was this, you would probably look at that and you would say, huh? You would not be able to figure out what in the world that's supposed to be. So orthographic views have a definite disadvantage. But they do have some advantages. If I wanted to put dimensions on them, if I wanted to do something like, let's say that I want to put dimensions here. So I want to say from here to here is 1 inch. And from here to here is 1 inch. Okay. So that means I want this guy right here to be 1 inch wide. And I want this guy down here to be 1 inch wide. This one here, maybe not. Maybe this one is only 3/4 of an inch wide. So what I could do then is I could say, okay, this one is 3/4 of an inch. Okay. So orthographic drawings have their advantages, but they definitely have their disadvantages. Most people, if all I gave you was this drawing and I didn't give you this drawing, most people would look at this and they would say, huh? And that's why whenever you do an orthographic drawing, you really need to also include an isometric drawing in order to help people see it. Okay, now what if I asked you to do an orthographic view from the top? Okay, how would we do that? So I want orthographic top view. All right, so Adam, you got a question?
I thought you were asking us to say how to do it.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Tell me, what would it look like?
So I don't know. Imagine you're like standing above, looking down on it, and then at the back. Can I annotate?
Oh, that would be, yeah, excellent.
Oh, I can. Okay.
Well, you can't right now, but give me a second and let's see. Oh, yeah. Oh, you can annotate. Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead. Yeah, you can annotate.
Oops. Hang on, I have to choose a pen really quick.
Yeah. If you don't have a touch
There
screen,
we go.
it's really hard to draw. As my computer has a touch screen, and boy, do I ever appreciate that.
So that part would just look like that, and then you wouldn't really see, that would look like,
Okay,
that
good.
part would just look like that.
Okay, so that's the back step part of it. Now, what's the front part of it gonna look like?
And then it just goes. Sorry, that's kind of a bad drawing, but
No, so far so good. Oh, I see now. Okay, now I see why you say it's a bad drawing. Okay, but
yeah.
that's okay. But we understand. So this notch. Oops. Oh,
Oops. Sorry.
That's
I
my
tried to
fault.
erase that one part, but erase the whole thing. So
Yeah. Okay. All right. So here I'll go and put it back in here for you. We got two people drawing
yeah,
at the same
it
time.
has a delay, so it's hard to see when.
Okay, I'll let you finish it.
Something like that. That one's also
Okay.
bad, but
Okay, but we get the idea.
yeah.
Okay, so yes, what Adam has done is perfect. Well, I mean, there's this little right here. We'll ignore that. Okay, so assuming that he'd done it like that. Okay, so that is great. So yes, that's exactly what an orthographic top view would look like. And again, let me say that if all we saw was just this right here, if we didn't see that, if all we saw was this, we would look at it and we would say, huh? But because we have the whole thing, because we have this isometric drawing there, we can tell what it is. Okay, so you guys understand how orthographic drawings work now? With an orthographic drawing, you only see one face. You don't see any other faces. You only see the one face, either the top face or the front face or the right side or the left side, or maybe the bottom side or maybe the back side, but you only see that one face. Okay, so you actually have two homework assignments tonight. One of them is to go back and redo last night's homework assignment if you think that you need it. And I think most of you do. Your other homework assignment is shown in here. So let me go into the engineering technology page, go into modules. And okay, so again, these are things that you will see later. I haven't published any of these yet. Only the ones with the green dots are the ones that you can see. Isometric and orthographic drawing techniques. That's tonight's homework. Okay. And so what I want you to do is I want you to draw a Lego brick. So most people know what Legos are, but just in case you don't, there you go. These are the Lego bricks. Now, those of you that have played with Legos, you know that Lego bricks come in different sizes. This size is the size that has 8 dots on it. There are also Lego bricks that only have 2 dots, or maybe they have 4 dots, or maybe they have 6 dots or whatever. But I want you to draw one of these 8-block Lego bricks. Okay, and I only want you to draw one block. Don't give me let's see, 2, 4, 6. Don't give me 7 different blocks like this. I only want to see one block. Okay, and I want to see that one block drawn several different ways. So the first way is 2-point isometric. I want you to show 2 sides and the top of the block of the brick. Next one is 2-point isometric, but this time I want to see the 2 sides and the bottom of the brick. Then I want a 1-point isometric showing 2 sides and the top. And I didn't bother doing 1-point isometric showing 2 sides and the bottom. I didn't think that was worth your time. Okay, now here's the new stuff. I want to see an orthographic view from the widest side. And next, I want to see an orthographic view from the narrowest side. Number 6, I want to see an orthographic view from the top. And number 7, I want to see an orthographic view from the bottom. Now, remember I was talking about the Superman view? Okay, so if you were to do an orthographic view from the widest side, so tell you what, I'm going to actually help you a little bit with your homework tonight. I'm going to do orthographic as viewed from the widest side. Okay, so that means I'm going to see this face right here, and I'm going to see a bump right here, bump right here, bump right here, bump right here. Now, there are actually 8 bumps on the brick, but I will only see 4 of them. The other 4 bumps are hidden behind me, and so I won't be able to see those. So if I was a human, this is the only thing that I would see. But Superman would be able to see that there's more to it than this. I mean, if you go back and you look at these Lego bricks, okay, you see, let me turn on a different pen here. Okay, let me try yellow. Okay, so you see these little posts that are inside there, and here you can see them there. Okay, so if I was a human being, which hopefully I am, and I look at the Lego brick, I would not see those interior posts, but Superman would. And so now there's 3 of them. Okay, so what do I need to do? I need to say, okay, there's going to be a post right here, and I'm going to draw it in dotted lines, because anything that Superman sees would be dotted. Okay, and so there's going to be another one right there, and then there's going to be another one right there. And Superman would probably see that the top part of the brick here is like that, and then so the walls here, what I'm trying to draw are the walls of the block here. Okay, so that's not a great drawing. Tell you what, let me try that again. Let me make this a little bit smaller here so that I can get a little bit more room to do my drawing. And so here we go again. I'm going to try again. This time I'm going to try to do a little bit more professional. So the first thing I'm going to do is the view that a human being would see. Okay, so this is the human view, and there's my 1 bump, there's my other bump, there's my 3rd bump, there's my 4th bump. Okay, so that's what the human being would see. Now, Superman would see that the wall here has a little bit of thickness. So I'm going to put a dotted line right there and a dotted line right here. Superman would see that the ceiling, the upper part, has a little bit of thickness. And Superman would see that there's a cylinder right there. There's another cylinder right there. And then there's a 3rd cylinder right there. Okay, so that's it. I have now done one of your homework assignments for you. So this is the orthographic view as viewed from the widest side and as viewed by Superman, okay, where anything that a human could see is a solid line, but anything that only Superman would see with his X-ray vision, that goes in with a dotted line. Okay. So that is your homework assignment tonight. I want you to do that. And let me just fix one thing here. So let me be specific about the fact that this Lego brick here, I want it to be an 8 dot, oops. Okay, all right. So, okay, so this Lego, as you guys know, the Lego bricks come in different sizes. So these are all 8 dot bricks. And so that's what I want, an 8 dot Lego brick viewed by all these different ways. Okay, so that's your assignment for tonight. Are there any questions? All right, so you have 20 minutes left. Okay, so Valerie is saying, wait, do we draw it so how we see it, or do we draw it how Superman sees it? And the answer to that is you're going to do it both ways. Anything that only a human could see, you're going to put those lines as being solid lines. But on top of that, on the same drawing, I want you to put the Superman view. So anything that only Superman could see that a human could not see, the Superman view, those are dotted lines. And you put them on the same drawing where you put the human drawings. Does that answer your question, Valerie? Okay, any other questions? It sounds like somebody's trying to say something, but I can't quite make out what you're saying. Okay, I guess not. Okay, well, I think we're done then. So tell you what, if you think you got it and you want to type "bye" in the chat box and get to work, go ahead.
Yeah.
We still got 20 minutes
Are you going to
left.
Whole Foods?
Okay, I think
Trader
somebody left.
Joe's.
Somebody left their mic on. They don't know their mic is on, so that's fine. Okay, so I'm going